Hello my friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today is Friday and we are going to talk about bookish stuff with my little Vita here, talking of which, I've read Vita. It was a wonderful biography, I have to admit, by Victoria Glendinning. What a life! What a life! Vita is, of course, Vita Sackville-West, and she is a wonderful author on her own, and she was also known as the lover of Virginia Woolf and many others. And yeah, the book, the biography, is really well done. Well written, well researched, not too detailed, but just enough, the right balance to really get to know her and to realize how many people she knew and how many important people she knew. Like Winston Churchill came there to spend some holidays, and there's so many people. She met Einstein, she met, you know, it's incredible. This woman has met very interesting people and has lived a very, very interesting life. So even if you don't know her story, or if you don't really are interested in her prose, because her books are really good, this is an interesting book. Of course, she's upper class, and yeah, one of her ancestors was the guy that had to tell Queen Mary of Scots that her sister was going to behead her, and yeah, so she's from a very good pedigree. But nevertheless, it was a very, very interesting read. I give this 5 stars, and this is a book that will stay with me for a very long time. So that's one of the few books I read this week. I am currently reading If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga, I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, liking it so far, but I do have thoughts, so I will talk about that on Sunday. I also read Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Morena Garcia, I believe that's her name. But I need to collect together my thoughts, so I will talk about that on Sunday. There's a couple of questions that one of my viewers asked me, Panda Pancake, and I would like to answer them now. So she or he or they want to know about my book buying process. How do you find out the books? There are a couple of ways that I use. For new books, I rely on the New York Times, on Instagram, on the TLS, the Times Literary Supplement, also the DSL, which is a supplement of a Flemish newspaper, which is excellent. And I have an excellent little indie bookshop in my area. She has impeccable taste, and I can always find something great. She also knows my taste. Well, we have the same taste, so it's quite easy for her to recommend books. And she already knows that preferably they have to be translated into Dutch or into English, or both. That would be great. So that's an easy way for me to select my books. Secondhand books, I buy mostly secondhand books, and I use a silly app that is actually meant for people that buy clothes, but they have a section that is only for books, and you yeah, you click in the name and then you have a choice. I don't know if you can see it, you have a choice. So here I looked for Colin McCullough because I wanted to buy Caesar and His Women or something like that by Colin McCullough, and then I look what the people are buying, presenting. So because it's a European app, you can have books in Dutch, in English, in French, in Italian. I'm always looking, of course, like here we have Colin McCullough, Cleopatra. How much do they ask for? 5, which is quite expensive, but it depends. Oh yeah, but the state is immaculate. So it's immaculate. I can see. And then I will look if they have other books. For instance, let's say I want to buy this book for €5, then I go down and I try to see if they have other books, but they are all in, can you see it? They are all in Italian, so I'm not interested. So I won't be buying that book. And sometimes if I really want to find Cleopatra and they only have books that are not my taste, so here I have another Cleopatra. Let me see. So here, for the same book, they ask €4, but it's another cover. Can you see? They ask €4, and then I go down and I try to see what else do they have. They have Mikkel Birkegaard, Wilbur Smith, but it's all in Italian once again, so I'm not interested. But sometimes they have Italian and English, and then I try to form a package and then I make an offer. And shipping is really cheap. So normally when it's a small package, it's about €2.90. The only downside is that you have to wait a couple of days before it gets to you, and you have to collect it at a pickup point. If you want to have it delivered on your doorstep, then it's more expensive. But actually their philosophy is to limit the carbon footprint. So what they do is they check all the DPDs and the UPSs and the DHLs of this world, and they see if there are spaces left in their trucks, and then they order space, and yeah, then it gets shipped. But it can take a couple of days. So normally within a week you have your book, but to me that's not a problem, and you are guaranteed that even if you are if they lose your books, you get your money back. That's also a very good thing. So for me, Vinted is a very good place to shop. And then of course there are thrift shops and the little free libraries that I visit and yeah, plunder sometimes. And yeah, so that's the way I look for books. So sometimes it's just an author that I'm looking for, less a specific title, and then I try to find something that really pleases me, and sometimes I take a chance and then I click on other books that I add into my cart and that I don't know, and I found many gems like that. So yeah, that's how I do it. And sometimes I have 10 books for €5 or something. It's amazing. They are not immaculate. They are not for the people that are, you know, like this one. It has been used, this book. But they let you know. So this is not pristine. But what can you expect for a book that costs you €1 or 50 cents? So yeah, that's how I look for books, and then what makes you decide to read the book? Well, I'm an emotional reader, so sometimes I feel like reading a certain book, and then mostly when I read a very challenging book, the book after that has to be way more light and way more than I mostly read a horror book or something very entertaining, not too where you don't have to think too much. And sometimes when a book is really, really good and really impactful, it can put me in a little mini reading slump, so that I have difficulty focusing on a book for a couple of days. So that's why I read then something light. But mostly, yeah, I'm a very, very emotional reader, and also, yeah, it depends on what I'm interested that day. If I want to read historical fiction or really an exciting work of literature or a classic, or well, I haven't been reading classics a lot. When it comes to classics, I call myself illiterate. So I haven't read that many classics. I have never read Thomas Hardy, for instance. Or, yeah, there's so many, especially English and American classics that I haven't read. So there I mostly use the excuse of a buddy read to read more classics. And for instance, Classics and Company is for me, I really did it together with Micah to push myself to read more classics with not always great success. Sometimes I'm blown away by a book and sometimes I think meh. So yeah, that's the way I choose my books. And then what makes you decide either borrow or buy the book? That's actually not that difficult. In a way, I borrow a book when I'm not sure if I would have ever bought it. So when I'm not sure if I'm going to like the book, then I'll borrow it. Or when the prices, the new prices are way too expensive, and then when I borrow a book from the library, I will read it, and when I really love it, I can wait a couple of years and then buy the book. I've done that with M by Antonio Scorati, for instance, and with many other books that when I read them, I really love them. And then I said, well, I won't forget those. And when I see M by Antonio Scorati on Vinted, I bought it on Vinted for €1 or €2 instead of buying it for 30 or 35 euros. Well, it gives me time. And so, and yeah, because sometimes new copies are way too expensive. With the speed that I read, I don't get any books for free, or hardly, and publishers don't send me books. So I have to buy everything myself. How do you organize your bookshelf? Well, it's quite easy. I have English bookshelves, Dutch bookshelves, and non-fiction. And that's about it. So I need to organize them more alphabetically. I will do that quite soon. But that's about it. I have a separate shelf with my 5-star reads, with the books that I really enjoy and are very close to my heart. And that's the bookshelf that is, when I sit on my sofa, it's right in front of me, and I can look at them and think, and that was a good book, and that moment, or that character. So yeah, I have one shelf. Well, it's a triple shelf, but that's in front of me, and yeah, those are my very, very favorite books. And then I have a big shelf with only my Dutch works, and this is my English shelves, because it goes around, and there are a couple on the floor. And then upstairs I have my art books and photography books and my non-fiction collection. I don't have that many non-fiction books anymore. I used to have many, many, many more, but yeah, a couple of moves and you downsize. And it's easier to downsize on non-fiction books than to part from the books that made you cry or made you laugh or whatever. So yeah, that's one of the ways I organize my shelves. Well, organize. Do you give books away or just throw them away? I mean, throw away a book? No. So a 3-star read, for instance, and that is in very good condition, I sell myself on Vinted. I keep them in pristine condition, so I can ask a little bit more, like 4 or 5 euros or even more, and I sell them like that. I give away books. There are books that I say, well, I won't read them again, but I really love them. But you can have them, or to friends, and books that I don't think, or either are too battered and I don't think my friends will like. Either I donate them to charity, or I put them in a little free library. But I don't throw books away. Please. Throwing books away. My heart. So yeah, that's it. That's for today. Now tomorrow I'm going to my dad. So that's a train ride of an hour and a half one way. And I'm wondering which book I would take with me. And either I will take an Ernest Hemingway book, A Farewell to Arms. I didn't know I had it. I found it by accident on my non-fiction bookshelf, or I will start Leo the African or Burnham Wood. That's also a possibility. Maybe Leo the African. I really want to read that, Leo the African. What do you think? What should I read first? Yeah, that's about it. I will be back on Sunday for a coffee clutch. Bye bye.